Thanks, Dennis, and thank you very much, Attorney General, and our other distinguished and honorable guests here this evening. I think that the challenge facing the Republican Party is quite simple. The Republican Party cannot win in 2010 and 2012 unless we start delivering 21st century answers to 21st century challenges. For the last 30 years, we've used the same talking points and the same playbook. And I think we saw this year that we can't be using the same message anymore. Most importantly, though, the Republican Party can't afford to lose an entire generation of voters to Democrats. In this year's election, not only did Barack Obama get 69% of first-time voters, he also got 66% of the crucial 18 to 30 demographic. If the Republican Party wants to come back out of the political wilderness, we can't surrender the youth vote. Most importantly, though, we have to start providing a message that talks to people here in Oakland County and the other suburban communities across the state. For too many years, we've let Democrats hijack issues of quality of life. You know, we all want safe and clean water. We all want clean air, good schools, safe streets, police on the beats. But for whatever reason, we've let the Democrats take over these issues, and if you're a young suburban couple, you think the Democrats are the ones that are talking about these and not the Republicans. We also have to look at the fact that the Republican Party can't compete nationally. We can't win the White House when, before we even begin campaigning, we automatically write off the entire Northeast, all of the West Coast, the Great Lakes, and the Upper Midwest. Once upon a time, we could win the presidency with only 28 states, but that's no longer the case when you look at the partisan reshuffling that has occurred this year. But the news isn't all bad. Here in Michigan this year, we actually found ourselves in the majority. 32% of the voters in November said they're conservative, while only 25% said they're liberal. The crucial demographic, though, is the 43% of the voters that identified themselves somewhere in between, you know, the Milliken moderates, so to speak. And I think as a Republican Party, if we want to win in 2010, we have to start appealing to the 43% of the voters who don't consider themselves conservative and don't consider themselves liberal. I live in a part of Michigan where there are only two issues that really matter, at least for the state legislature and Congress, guns and life. And if you nominate a pro-life, pro-gun Democrat in northern Michigan, that Democrat wins every day over the Republican. So we need to start going back to our roots, you know, not forgetting our conservative principles, but certainly tailoring our message to the 21st century. And I think some of the examples that we can look at are our counterparts in different countries. Just across the border in Canada, they have a conservative government. You know, that's a country that for 30 years had a socialist government. For the last 4 years now, they've had a conservative prime minister in Stephen Harper. In Sweden, socialist Sweden of all places, they have a center-right government under Fredrik Reinfeldt. Britain's just about to elect a new prime minister in another year or so in David Cameron. And New Zealand just had an election 4 days after ours, where we elected a socialist, but 4 days later, New Zealand elected a conservative. So the center-right can still win, but the center-right is winning when they're providing 21st century answers to 21st century challenges. So I challenge all of you here tonight, not only to go on Twitter. I'm Twittering from here, so sign up on Twitter. You know, start speaking the talk for the young people, but most importantly, start looking at what the conservatives in other countries are doing to win. If you haven't heard of David Cameron and the conservatives in Britain, look them up, conservatives.com. What they're doing, coordinating their message, of making it appealing to young people and young families is something that the Republican Party can learn from. Take a look at Reinfeldt in Sweden. We don't have to follow some of their stances because, you know, ultimately conservatism in Sweden is a little bit different than conservatism in the United States. But we can take a page from their book in terms of their messaging, their approach, how they've come in a natural socialist country that's really never known anything other than socialism and won quite successfully now. So start paying attention to our friends in other countries. I think we can learn a lot in 2010 and 2012. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dennis.